Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 216 of your favourite Formula 1 show. Yes, Jamie and I return with more Knowing Wheel. This week last week we finished off the iceberg, so we're a little bit lost as we head into the 2025 season. So today we have decided we are each going to make 3 bold predictions for the all-new year. But quickly, we've got a couple of other things to get through before that. First of all, the formalities. Jamie, how are we doing, my friend?
I'm good. Yes, we're almost made it to February, and February is a month where things start happening in F1, so it's good. We're nearly halfway through. We already are over halfway through now, I'd imagine.
Yeah, I mean, we've only got, actually, we are barely halfway through, aren't we? It was about
Just
7
over,
weeks
yeah.
ago F1 finished. We've got about 6 weeks until it begins again, which is a little bit scary. But at least we get, pre-season testing, whatever that event's going to be in London in a few weeks, and a few other bits and pieces to keep us going. And,
Exactly.
of course, because it's Formula 1, we get to be entertained by the stupid ideas that Mohammed Ben Sulayem is trying to impose over the winter break, to keep, your Formula1.coms and all your other media and your bait Twitter accounts busy. What do we think of all these new swearing proposal rules, Jamie? It's just ridiculous.
It's simply awful. And yeah, I personally don't see it actually being inputted as much as they said it now. Basically, for those who haven't seen the news, because it wasn't obvious to find, I think. It's not like major news, but basically they're trying to impose stricter rules on what the drivers were joking about towards the end of last season, where you accidentally drop a word in your second or third language that is a little bit offensive and you get a 50k fine in a press conference. And they've actually made it worse, so it's now the fines will get more severe the more you offend. And it ends, if you don't stop swearing, you could get a month-long ban from entering Formula 1 events, which is insane.
All points deductions.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
So
they should just boycott all the presses. Just don't go.
Well, you'd think they would.
Yeah, it's safer to not do the media duties.
Well, yeah, exactly.
And the other thing is, the term for offence is so vague
Yeah.
that they could really make it anything.
Yeah. It's just a bit bizarre.
Yeah.
I mean,
I kind of get it. I get the reasoning behind the rule. I just think the implementation is absolutely awful.
Yes, yeah. I mean, my first bold prediction for the year, obviously with these points deductions proposal, is that Max Verstappen finishes on negative points in 2025.
Finishes last.
On negative 300 points by the end of the year. But I mean, yeah, it's just, I can understand it a little bit more in press conferences, like the ones that go out live and things like that, that they don't want to be in a situation where drivers are swearing week in, week out, doing the post-qualifying interviews and that kind of thing. But generally, it doesn't feel like it happens that much anyway.
No, exactly. The drivers aren't idiots.
No.
They're not going to... And it also, if they're dropping an offensive word, it's never meant offensively. They're using it as descriptive words, or the tyres were bleeped, for instance.
Well, I understand as well with things. I think it was Sonoda at Imola a couple of years ago, wasn't it? Where obviously he did just use a term that is offensive in an offensive way. And obviously he got reprimanded from that. He got educated on it. He's never made the mistake again. Which kind of they're going, that's fair enough.
Yeah.
But when they're not explicitly, when they say, for example, the tyres are bleeped, and things like that, that's not offending any, or if it is offending anybody, then I'm slightly concerned. And I think, again, you've got to have a better understanding for obviously what they're dealing with at the time. Let's be real. I would put every penny I own right now, and that's quite a bold claim since I'm trying to buy a house. That when Mohammed Ben Sulayem binned that Renault F1 car all those years ago in Dubai, I guarantee swear words went through his head. I can't imagine as he was heading
said them out loud.
I guarantee you, as he was heading towards the wall, he didn't go, "Oh crumbs!" He would have sworn.
Whoopsie.
Yeah, exactly. Oopsie poopsie.
Yeah, it's like trying to make the pinnacle of motorsport like a CBeebies show.
Yeah.
Which it just shouldn't be. I can't imagine. Imagine this rule was tried to implement in the 70s.
Oh,
Like
yeah.
James Hunt would have just gone and lamped him.
Yeah, pretty much. It would
Like-
have just been a punch-up.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
it
just...
won't, I mean, yeah, I don't think the GPDA will allow it to go through. To be personally honest, so I really don't think. I think it'd be a moot point by the end of the season that we just. Oh, I remember when Mohammed Ben Sulayem tried to bring in this stupid rule, and we're like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Yeah. Again, it's just that big thing, isn't it? Of Formula One have got bigger issues that they need to sort out.
Yeah.
Like, this is not the problem you need to be dealing with at the moment. You know, there's so many other bigger and more important topics, you know, like we've said, kind of the entertainment-ification of red flags and things like that, and safety cars in races. You know, how on earth the richest motorsport in the world still doesn't have a consistent every race weekend race stewards and things like that because they haven't got the money. You know, is that what they're trying to do this swearing ban for? Because I think if you worked out that, say,
They'll make quite a lot of money, won't they?
Oh, I was going to say, I'm sure if you said that each team has got to put up 200k, so you get $2.5 million for it, that would be enough to ship more around the world all year, easily, and
teams
pay
can
them.
happily do that, I'd imagine.
Exactly. You know, it's like we said, there's
Yeah.
bigger things still to worry about.
There
you know,
are. And
we're,
you look
we're
at-
losing Spa every other year, and we're going to trade that in for an oil money circuit. Surely some of that oil money can be used to pay some stewards from time. I mean, they won't then allow Aston Martin to get penalties, thanks to Aramco. But it's all just those things, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, you just have to look at other sports as well. So, like, football, for instance, is like the biggest sport in the world. It is the world's game. If you go to any football match, especially in this country, but all across the world, you will not be able to go 10 minutes without hearing somebody swear.
And the
Whether it's
players
a player-
aren't mic'd up.
Yeah, they're not mic'd up, but even, like, I go to lower league football all the time. You're right by the pitch. You can hear players swearing all the time. As long as they're not, like, as long as you're not being derogatory to the referee, that gets you a red card or a yellow card, fair enough. But if you're just swearing at yourself or at an unlucky situation or at being annoyed at something, then you don't get any reprimand for it at all.
And how
And I
are the
just think-
mighty Barnet doing this year?
Oh, we're top of the league. Massive.
Nice. Fair play.
We beat Forest Green a few weeks ago, so after that.
Are we in the same division?
Yeah.
Who
Oh, we
knew?
actually drew. We beat you back in September.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I think football's doing all right, and they don't have stupid swearing rules. So
I mean, you look at IMSA the weekend. Like, there was an incident between Corvette and BMW. I don't know if you've seen the picture, it's been circulating. I can't remember who it was, his name off the top of my head, but he was literally there out of the window giving him the bird at 180 miles an hour. And you think, A,
That's very good.
that's impressive. B, how strong are his arms?
yeah, big wind resistance there, isn't there?
Exactly,
But,
exactly.
Fair play. Anything to get your point across, I guess.
Well, yeah, he did then turn him later on, which I thought was quite funny as well. But there we are. I mean, let's go into our bold predictions then, Jamie. So we've each come with 3 today to kind of briefly discuss. Now, I believe we're going to be trying to holding each other to these, aren't we? When we inevitably do our overall predictions in a few weeks. So there's going to be a
we're
few
carrying these
claims.
into. I'll actually pin the message so we can remember to do that.
Oh no! Okay, that's really committed, isn't it?
Yes. So we'll carry these into our big 1 to 20 and 1 to 10 constructors as well. So whatever we say here, like a few years ago, you said Williams would finish 5th, and they
Yep.
finished 9th.
So it did kind of score me.
We'll see if there's anything that outrageous from you.
Yes,
or
exactly.
from me.
Well, do you want to start or do you want me to start?
You can go ahead.
Okay, my first one then. I mean, I had to make one about this at some point. Considering he's got the most pole positions of all time, I think Charles Leclerc is going to outqualify Hamilton at a 16-8 or more. So Leclerc's going to outqualify Hamilton at least 16 times this year, but lose on points. It's my bold claim. It's similar vibes to kind of what happened with Sainz a couple of times, where Leclerc is just that bit better over one lap, but maybe not as consistent in races. Obviously, he beat obviously Sainz last year in both metrics, not by a lot, but he did beat him in both metrics. But I think Hamilton this year is again maybe going to struggle a little bit with qualifying pace. But I think Hamilton is going to outscore Leclerc by the end of the year, despite only outqualifying at most 8 times over 24 races.
I can see it. The thing that I worry about for Hamilton a little bit is if Ferrari are in a drivers' championship fight, which you look at the end of last season and think they probably will be, since it's an evolution, not a revolution. If Leclerc gets, I don't know, a 30-point lead on Hamilton in the first 6 races or so, do they start favouring Leclerc with strategies and with team orders? And then how's that ever going to happen?
Yeah, I think that suddenly becomes... It's one of those weird things where I think unless one of them gets taken out a couple of times early on in the season, they're both drivers that are quite good when they're on the back foot as well, of being able to bounce back, I would say.
I don't think they will do team orders in a hurry at all.
No.
Looking at the last third of the season at most before you get direct team orders, but I do think...
And that's only if one of them is clearly ahead of the other. I mean, last year you could argue that in a couple of occasions they probably should have. Hindsight.
Well, they tried, didn't they?
Well, hindsight is a beautiful thing, isn't it? But I think last year there were definitely a couple of times where you think they probably should have prioritised Leclerc more than they did, and maybe he could have had a shot at the world title, especially had the Barcelona upgrade not gone wrong. But yeah, I can't see, But I also think on the other hand of that, both Hamilton and Leclerc are very sensible. I don't think either of them are too kind of ego-based in that regard as well, of they feel like...
It's been a while since we saw Hamilton pushed in a World Championship fight by his team.
Well, there is also that. But, unless they're only fighting each other, which, I'm thinking back to Hamilton, Rosberg, Abu Dhabi 2016, I can't, if they're fighting others, which I think is more likely this year, I can see them both kind of being for the greater good of the team, not themselves.
Yeah. But... that only goes so far. I'm thinking 2010 Red Bull, for instance. Like, you had 2 drivers fighting both against each other and against another 2 drivers in the championship. So they just were impossible to do team orders, really, because there was no point, because they're both fighting for a championship.
Well, I think the problem there was that Webber was arguably doing better early on in 2010, and they were still favouring Seb. I think was the bigger underlying issue there.
Yeah. Not bad for an amateur driver. And all that. It's been a while since I did my White Weber accent.
Oh, exactly. 11 years he left the sport. That's wild.
No, 12.
Well, 11 and a little bit.
11 and a bit, yeah. 2013, wasn't it? Crazy. The Leclerc quality thing, I think Leclerc will beat Hamilton in quality. I also think he'll beat him in the points, to be honest. So
Fair enough.
Yeah. But we'll go on to my one. And I'll start with my least bold, I think. Which is more on hope than expectation. As a Nico Hülkenberg fan, I have gone for Sauber don't finish last.
Wow!
And I'll be delighted if they finish any higher than 10th place.
Wow!
But I do think they've got a better lineup now than they did last season. I do think the car wasn't terrible come the end of the season. So obviously Bottas got into Q3 in Abu Dhabi and Zhou got 8th place in Qatar. So if that carries on, they seem to have made a step with their Kota upgrade. We could see a little bit more progress.
I mean, obviously, we shared these bold predictions with each other pre-show, just to make sure we hadn't done the same one. And like we were saying, though, it's a bit odd, isn't it, in Formula 1, that teams don't tend to finish last repeatedly. It obviously happens occasionally from year to year. But I'm trying to think of a time where a team has finished last more than, 3
Even
times
more than
in a row.
You're probably looking at the 19 and 20 Williams was the last time it happened.
Yeah, I'm thinking more like 3 seasons in a row, though.
Yeah, not since the days of, Minardi, when they were the only...
But even then, it was often that one of them would just get one race lucky with reliability, and it would kind of swap around each year.
Yeah.
It's just a bit odd, isn't it?
So maybe it's not that bold, but yeah. I do think Hülkenberg's not great on Bottas, and I do think Bortoletto is not great on Zhou, as much as it pains me to say.
Bottas is better than Hülkenberg. Nice
No,
podiums, mate. Nice podiums.
What, in a Mercedes? Well done.
He got podiums in a Williams. Hulkenberg didn't manage that.
In the second fastest car.
I wasn't second. Oh, hello. You want to keep your voice?
I know.
Only cats can hear that.
Going in protest. I mean, that was also 11 years ago, so
I think it's I think definitely Bortoletto over Zhou, but I think it's
2024 Hülkenberg is better than 2024 Bottas.
Bottas could have scored points early on in the year. He just had a terrible pit stop, and Sauber were useless. Australia he would have scored.
Hulkenberg was a top 8 driver this year, I would say. In last year, he's on his. He's like a fine wine. He's got better with age.
Nice. Has he? He can't have got much worse.
Yes, he has. Wow, he's been around in the sport for longer than every other driver, but 2. So.
Well, yeah. Well, he hasn't actually been in the sport longer than 2, has he? Because he could get dropped. Perez, then you could argue, has been there longer.
Well, he's not here.
Yeah, but
Barrichello's been here longer. He's not here either.
Hulkenberg took a couple of years out. Like Perez might just be having a year out for all we know.
He might. He
genuinely actually might. Is the wild thing.
I don't see Perez coming back, to be honest.
No, he would have to take quite a miracle.
But yeah, I think if Sauber is to beat anyone, I'd probably
who are they beating?
It would be VCarb.
So you're putting VCarb last, are you?
Because they were pretty awful coming into the season, weren't they?
I think that's a bit harsh. They got unlucky in a couple of races.
They did, but yeah, it's them. I mean, look at them, Haas or Williams, really, aren't you? And yeah, it could be.
No, you got to say who are they beating? I want this locked in now.
Who are they beating? They're either going to beat Williams or VCarb. I don't want to lock it in yet.
Okay, so Sauber.
I really don't want Williams to come last because I do like the lineup.
Do
I do like James Vowles, so I get the feeling they might be good.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah, I'll say VCarb then. Screw it.
Okay, VCarb last. Hajal's rubbish, is it? I thought you'd be a fan of Isaac Hajal.
No,
fair enough.
He's like, even without, like, on my first impression of F1 drivers, I just don't like him very much. I've barely seen him race.
You can be honest, Jamie. It's because he's French, isn't it?
Slightly, and his head loss in Monaco when your mate beat him.
Yes, that was quite funny.
I just quite enjoy seeing him lose.
I didn't even know he lived near me until after that weekend. Or he was born near me, which is quite
He's
funny.
one of those drivers that, I just quite like seeing them do badly, which is really bad. It's someone like Stroll or Ocon, basically.
Yeah.
He's in that category.
No, I get it. Well, speaking of Lance Stroll, Jamie, my second bold prediction, Aston Martin this year are going to finish 6th overall, behind the big 4 teams, and because I'm actually going to put a flag in the sand here, they're going to be behind Alpine by the end. It will be the most Alpine thing in the world. The year they're going to abandon their project is the year it goes well.
That's actually true. That's very true. Yeah, that's extremely accurate because they've announced a new 100-year plan.
100-year plan?
No, 100. No, that's not.
I was going to say
a famous Austrian. That 100 race plan. Sorry. Flavio Briatore's at the helm. He's already going to sack his driver. I feel really bad for Jack Doohan because I think it was his birthday last week or something, but on Twitter anyway, Alpine are like doing all this promo stuff.
Yeah.
Like, new debut driver, and F1 as well, doing similar things like you do for anyone because it's
you got to hype it up.
To F1.
Exactly.
Yeah, he's going to be gone by April. By the end of April.
Yeah. I mean, the funnier bit as well is about all the comments again. Like, for anyone that followed IndyCar last year with Augustine Canapinto, or Canapino, sorry, not Canapinto, I'm combining their names now. But the Argentinian fans on social media are easily the worst in the world. And Alpine have literally done a birthday post with Doohan, and everyone's going, where's Colapinto? Why is Colapinto in this picture? Argentina forever, bring back the Falklands, all this. You go, oh mate, just get a grip. Like, come on.
I will not cause controversy on this trip.
It's just like, why? Like,
it's amusing.
And like, we all know he's gone, but still.
I see this happening for you. I like Pierre Gasly a lot. I think he's very good. And Colapinto as well will push him hard when he gets that seat by the Chinese Grand Prix.
The China's round 2, you know that next year.
Oh, is it? Well, by what's round 5?
That'll be
Bahrain,
Imola, I think. Is it Bahrain? I thought we only have 4 flights. It's bad that we don't know the calendar very well.
I know. I know Bahrain's round 4 because it feels like a throwback.
1, 2, 3. Oh, Saudi Arabia was round 5. So it'll get dropped between then and Miami.
Yes. Although if it is only 5 races, he's already on the first one of that. They might drop him between a back-to-back race in Bahrain Jeddah.
I've just noticed as well that we've got back-to-back races between Japan and Bahrain. How bad is that?
Oh, yeah. That's going to be fun.
I mean, we've
A
spoken about
triple
this
header.
calendar before,
What?
yeah. We've got a
A
triple
header
header.
of Japan, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia.
I mean, Bahrain and Saudi aren't so bad, but the other Bahrain and Japan is
and
back to back.
Saudi's
is terrible.
Saudi's technically on a Saturday as well, isn't it? Or is that?
I
is
don't
that
think
last
so.
year?
That's only last year.
Okay.
Yeah, no, it can't be because
Right.
obviously, unless Japan's also on a Saturday,
Yeah. Oh yeah, true.
that's horrendous.
But that I'd see that bold prediction happening. Although they have got Adrian Newey, so. But you will have had no input on this car. Let's be real. So,
He can only start doing anything in March, I believe, can't he? And let's be fair, if there's going to be a team that bid off 2025, it's going to be Aston Martin.
true. Yeah, we could see Alonso doing
they
full
are-
McLaren Honda.
They are definitely the new Toyota, aren't they? I love it. I love it.
Well, it's in the amount of development. They've literally built a mini Silverstone at their factory.
Yeah, but that's
And
a
someone
that's
took a
that's a
drone shot.
footpath, Jamie. Like we've known
Is
about
it?
this forever. Yeah, like this isn't new.
No, not me thinking it was like a go-kart track.
No, it's just like a footpath. You can walk around. I'm pretty certain.
Right. But yeah, they've dropped a lot of money in that facility. So it's got to come good within 5 years. Otherwise, Lawrence Stroll would pull out, and that will mean Lance.
Well,
Stroll's
Lance
also-
wants to play tennis, so I'm sure that we're going to see Lawrence buy
Yeah, exactly.
Wimbledon or something. I don't know.
Exactly.
Go on.
What's my next one?
Give
This
us your
actually, I
next
think,
one.
This is quite a fun one. I think we'll see a new record broken for the youngest average age on a podium.
Which
because-
is currently
Brazil 2019, which was Gasly, Sainz, and Hulkenberg, absolutely not. Gasly, Sainz, and Verstappen, which were 22, 23, and 25 at the time.
yes. So the average is currently 23 years and 256 days.
So I'm thinking, obviously, both Antonelli is extremely young compared to that age.
18.
Piastri is about that age. He's 20. He's going to turn 23 this year, isn't he?
He's going to turn 24 this year, I believe. He's born in 2001,
So-
isn't he?
All it takes, and in my mind, McLaren and Ferrari are probably the two strongest teams going into this year, based on the end of last season.
Yeah.
And Mercedes kind of hanging there or thereabouts at weird
Oscar
tracks
will
like
be
Vegas.
24 in April. He's only got, I think, 2
Okay.
races before.
But even so, if we have a podium of, obviously, Anthony kind of has to be on it because
You got to
That will,
bring your average down somewhere.
yeah, you got to bring the average down. So I think if you get a podium with Antonelli, and then any combination of like Piastri, Lawson, even Norris, I think with Antonelli on the podium would have it low enough. I actually think if you get a Red Bull 1-2 with Antonelli, that would set it just.
I'd be close, wouldn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So basically, I think that record's going to be broken. And in my head, all it takes is an Antonelli on the podium, but you can just guarantee he'll get like one podium and be sharing it with Hamilton and Alonso. So
That would
yeah,
be quite
maybe
funny.
it will, maybe it won't, but we could see the youngest average age podium. And I do hope, I think Lawson and Antonelli will both probably get podiums. I think they could both win races. But we'll see, because Sergio Perez was driving that car last year and couldn't barely get on the podium.
Well, he was driving last year's car, but yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that
And,
leads us nicely into my
yeah.
third one, though, Jamie. Because following on from that
Go
point,
ahead.
which did make us chuckle, I think Antonelli's going to win a race this year.
There we go.
It's wild. It's bold.
He's-
I don't think he'll break Max's record, sadly.
How long has he got? He's got
I
until summer
believe-
break, hasn't he?
No, I don't think it's that long. How many youngest F1 winner? I can't remember how
Max
many
was about
days
200
it was.
days.
It was something like that, wasn't it?
Yeah.
18 years, 228 days. Kimi Antonelli. Keep talking to me about
I
Kimi
think he's
for me.
got until about June or July to set it, because he turns 19 in August. So if you take like 3 months off that, he's got until about
Well, let's do a day
mid-season.
calculator quickly.
the day is. We're going deep on this one.
So,
But yeah, I mean
when's his
George Russell and
birthday?
Lewis Hamilton both
25th of
won
August.
races.
Tuesday.
So we could see it. If Antonelli, obviously, there's a lot of pressure on him, but he's never driven in an F1 race before. He's driven a few practice sessions and stacked it in Monza. So we'll see. I think it's very brave from Mercedes, and typically they're not a very brave team with their driver choices. But it could happen. It could. I think a lot would have to go in his favour for him to win a race, because I think beating George Russell won't come easily to him. Let alone the other, 6 drivers in the top 4 teams. but it could happen with a bit of luck and a bit of scripting. Then maybe.
I'm trying.
How long has he got?
I'm trying to work this out. I think he's got until about Japan. It might be Bahrain after that.
Really? That's not one.
But you got to remember, it's because I think he's only born about a month before Max was in terms of in the year, and obviously Max won Barcelona, which was fairly early in the year back then.
Which was in May, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think he's got. I want to say I think he's got until Bahrain, because I think Saudi he'll be like 2 days older.
Yeah. Fair. So he's not going to win the first 4 races then.
Oh, probably not. No, but he's going to win a race this year. Is my bold claim. I think George will, understandably do better than him over the course of the year. But imagine if Kimi Antonelli wins like a Monza. I mean, I'd rather see Lewis win Monza, I suppose. Imagine Kimi Antonelli wins a. Let's think of a
German Grand Prix.
German Grand Prix. That'd be quite funny. Where do I want Kimi Antonelli to win his race? Jamie? Hungary could be a good shame.
Hungary loves a debut winner, to be fair.
It does, exactly. I'm going to say, I'm not actually going to say he's going to win the Hungarian Grand Prix, but Kimi Antonelli is going to win a race this year.
There we go. There we have it. And not become the youngest Grand Prix winner, but probably the second youngest.
Almost. I think he'd have to be the second youngest.
He'd have to be, yeah. Because the next is Vettel, who was like
21.
21.
Yeah.
Absolutely finished. Right. My last one, which I'm quite sad because I've now got to lock this in for our preseason predictions. But I'm going for that the world champion will be winning their first world championship.
So that eliminates...
It eliminates
Hamilton, Verstappen and Alonso.
I wasn't going to predict Alonso to win the championship. Anyway.
There's 85% odds from a purely statistical point of view there, Jamie.
But on current form, it's been almost a decade since anyone other than Hamilton or Verstappen won a championship. So,
well, yeah, exactly.
And now he's a Monaco-based YouTuber, so he's not going to win
in the last since 2000. I'm trying to think. When was the last time someone won a world championship that is still? No, that doesn't make sense. Ignore.
What do you mean?
I was going to say he's either
grid.
still there or not racing anymore. I was like, well, that's all of them.
That's all of them. They're either racing or not. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, I really think Verstappen was up against it last season, and obviously
I wasn't. I hate this narrative.
The benefit of having the first 7 races go his way.
It's such a dominant car for like the first few rounds. Still,
I would say for the first 5 races, it was a dominant car, and even in those 5 races, he got a reliability DNF in one of them. So it's really only 4.
It wasn't reliability; it was the team not building the car. But yeah, no, I understand
reliability. It's not Verstappen's fault.
Not his fault. No.
So really, he had a dominant car for 4 races.
No, he had a dominant car for 5. They just fluffed up one of them.
Right. Okay, and then he won the 2 back-to-backs at Imola and Spain.
Yeah,
well, there wasn't those 2, was it?
He was also very lucky, and the one man that sensibly actually had a chance to beat him all year was too busy still trying to be his mate than actually trying to beat him, which is the bigger problem.
But I don't think that. A lot of things went against Norris. But basically, what I'm saying, Verstappen won the championship based on the first.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And if we're looking at the season, kind of, there's not much of a reset. I know we said this from 23 to 24 as well, but there's not a massive reset. I think everyone understands their cars quite well. So it's going to be a continuation of last year, which means that Ferrari and McLaren are my favourites for the championship.
Ferrari, I hate the fact I already know they're going to completely fluff this up. They're going to show up and have the 4th fastest car.
If I had to pick one right now, I would go for Lando Norris, which is a bit annoying because I'd rather see Piastri or Leclerc. No, I wouldn't rather see Leclerc win it. I'd rather see Norris win it than Leclerc. But yeah, I think Red Bull won't quite have the car to allow Verstappen to win the championship. I think he'll absolutely win races.
I think what's underappreciated when you talk about this was that Red Bull in the last couple of Grand Prix did make a step forward back towards those front teams again.
It did, but I wouldn't say it was the fastest again.
No, but I would say it was very close.
It was close there with the McLaren and the Ferrari, but yeah, we'll see. And maybe Verstappen surprises me and wins the championship in the 4th fastest car again, but we'll see.
In the 4th Where was it? He was never 4th fastest, behave.
In Monza, it was.
Oh, right, one race where Red Bull have pretty much always been terrible.
Yep. But yeah, I think I'm not looking at it yet, but out of the three kind of main options of Norris, Piastri, Leclerc in my head, I mean, throw in George Russell if you want. I would say it would be Norris out of
Fair
those
enough.
four.
Yeah, that's fair enough. That's fair enough.
But I'm not locking it in yet because preseason testing could show us that Ferrari are OP and Leclerc's going to win it.
Are we going to say, is it going to be a bit like 2010, where after 2009, Cebu finished second, like some of the talk next year is going to be his year, that kind of thing? If you're David Coulthard. Exactly.
And Norris's 2024 felt quite a lot like Seb's 2009.
Yeah, a lot of learning, too many mistakes, but
Yeah.
kind of important to be able to put you in a position where you can
mistakes,
win.
yeah.
Not that we're going to sit here and say Norris is going to win the next 4 world titles.
Oh, I do hope not.
Right, well, I think that covers all of it, doesn't it, Jamie? We've got our bold predictions.
does.
I think Leclerc is going to outqualify Hamilton 16-8 but lose on points. Aston Martin is going to lose to Alpine and finish 6th, and Antonelli will win a race. You think we're going to see a new world champion, the youngest combined podium age, and Sauber don't finish last. Let us know down in the comments below what your bold predictions are ready for the 2025 Formula 1 season. We might respond to some of the best ones as well. In some upcoming videos as well. But yeah, thank you all so much. Get yourself subbed. We are closing in on 850 subscribers. We are up to 815 even. So a massive thank you to everybody recently. Just hit that sub button. But yeah, Jamie and I will be back next week. We've got no idea what we're going to talk about. We're limping through the winter.